Okay, we're going to get started here. So, to start with, I just want to thank you for joining our How to Accelerate Your Lead Flow with Paid Marketing webinar here today for landscape and hardscape contractors here. And we're going to be focusing particularly on everything Google ads related, local services ads. And then at the end, we're going to touch on some retargeting and social side of the marketing equation here as well. So let's jump into things over here. And firstly, just want to run through a little bit about why, why paid marketing, why dive into it. Maybe some of you watching, it's a strategy that you've used before online to bring in more leads. And maybe you've done it yourself. You've dabbled in setting up some of these ads, monitoring them, optimizing them, or maybe you've hired someone to do it. Maybe it was a marketing company, maybe it was like a freelancer or something like that to work, or perhaps you have someone in house who is kind of learnt. Maybe they had skills to begin with, maybe they've kind of just learnt as they've gone. But what I want to dive in today and just to reiterate that the starting point is why is paid marketing uh key to helping you scale? And then the things that are going to work best, we're going to dive into the strategies that we're seeing in our agency specific to this industry. And then just some examples. We're all about looking at the return on investment, and paid ads, lead flow using these strategies can give you a great return. So we're going to run some numbers there. I'm definitely a numbers guy and like to just set things up so that we can actually show, what is the tangible result of using a paid marketing strategy. And then we're going to dive into just some how to's on how to set things up. And then the last section here is really on these other key areas like key performance indicators, tracking your conversions, how to tweak things on the landing page end, and just dive into some details there. So that's what's in store as we go into this. So, a little bit about us before we get into all the detail of things is, it's our goal to make sure we're helping landscape and hardscape businesses grow in their industry. So, our team is experienced in doing this. Myself, I love helping business owners in this space generate more revenue and hit their goals for the businesses. And we look forward to jumping in and sharing our knowledge with you here today. So, here are just a few of our clients. We work with clients across the US from the West Coast. We're based in San Diego through to the East Coast there as well. So, these are some companies we're working with in the industry, generating them return there as well. And then the pitch here, like, why listen to me? Why even sit through this? Why am I qualified to talk about this? Well, we have helped and we are helping companies, generate millions in sales. And in the landscape and hardscape space specifically, we're targeting this as well. So, we're a part of the California Landscape Contractors Association. So we're in the industry. We're speaking with businesses, but also everyone else involved in the supply chain side of things too. And ourselves, we're a part of a program called Seven Figure Agency, which is a coaching mastermind as well. So we're on just the cutting edge of marketing strategies as Google algorithms changes as pay-per-click strategies evolve and everything else related with digital marketing. We're on the forefront of that so we can then continue to deliver good results, better results, improvements for our clients just there. Okay. And then today we're going to be diving into just an area of what we call our accelerated growth model. So the foundation here is, driving leads to your business using different strategies, then making sure we're maximizing their conversion. So, the conversion is when they get to your website, when they get to your social profiles, when they see your ads, how can we take them to that next step of getting their information to you, of getting that phone call, of getting that job inquiry, and then the last step, optimizing those results. How can we do those steps more effectively, cheaper. Everything there is going to drive that return on investment and increase it for your business. So a little bit more about that too is just the accelerated growth model in another form. I'm not going to jump into too much more detail with that one there as well, but essentially this is the framework that we're using, the 9 clear steps to triple sales by getting the internet online marketing side of things correct there. And I will just say particularly the automation, and we're going to dive into that a little bit, but automation is so key. No matter what strategy you're using to drive leads in, if you're getting people in contact with your business, you want to make sure that the follow up process is taken care of. And there are a lot of things that can be automatically done through software, through CRM management to actually help you, help your sales team, and help yourself doing that. Okay. And then this forms just part of what we call the digital dominance method for landscape and hardscape contractors and really service businesses in general. And PPC is just a key part of this. So we're doing this specifically to go through this area, but there's some other really key areas there that we've done other webinars on here. So to start with, let's dive into the PPC. If you've never really looked into it too much, or you're looking to get some information on it, the benefits of a good pay per click strategy means you're able to start getting your business showing up quickly. Things like SEO and Google Maps strategies are fantastic as well. However, if that strategy isn't in place, then this is a way to actually start to get traction and get people seeing your business, seeing what you offer, and seeing the value of engaging in you. So the other key thing here is targeting of locations is a really key part of a pay per click strategy as well. So all the platforms there, you can be very specific down to the zip code of where people are at, and then you can be really clear on the type of search terms that people are using in Google to show up for the specific services. And I've got some examples there: landscape design, backyard remodels, targeting those higher end projects as well. The last thing you want as a landscape and hardscape contractor is, if you do not offer services like lawn care and maintenance, you definitely want to be avoiding targeting those types of keywords, because you're going to be paying for leads without actually being able to deliver the results. So I'm going to dive into that a little bit more detail, but that's the key one there. And then the scalability factor is, once you've got campaigns running, you're making more money, then you have the opportunity to actually boost up the budget and bring in even some other paid advertising channels right there. So the paid search accelerator is part of that section there. And then in the middle, we have the retargeting and automation, which we'll go into detail there. And this is just a marketing pyramid rundown of this to give people a bit of an idea of priorities, because it might not be that you're always in a position to be spending on every single channel to begin with. But what we have down at the bottom there is an organic SEO foundation. So key to that is making sure you have your website and Google business profile set up, optimized. But often the next step next is this page search, Google local services ads strategy as well. Then once those things are in place, there are pay per lead directories, which I know a lot of people haven't always had the best experience with, which is definitely not where we're going to set as the priority, but it is a good place to add on. Once you're starting to cover all your other bases, all your other channels, you can still bring in those channels too, and bring in that extra avenue of lead flow. And then lastly, up the top, we have your social ads. So they have a place. Social ads though tend to be more people who might be your future buyers, as opposed to people searching on Google who are looking for things pretty quickly. They're planning a project, or they're wanting something done quickly. So social ads we've got in there as well. And they're including things like Meta, which is Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. So, firstly, let's take a moment there and just do an analysis on that pyramid. of things. Which strategies do you currently have in place? Which ones do you think might be working? Which ones do you think you need to learn a little bit more about? Feel free to pop some information in the chat there as well if there's any of those specific strategies that you're looking for more information on. Okay, let's move on. Let's move into it. So, the first part of paid search we want to talk about is the local service ads, or known as Google Local Services ads. Here, so on my screen there is a breakdown, and I'm actually going to shift camera on so it's just solely on the slide for us to see really clearly. And as an example here, I've just searched for landscape design, Minneapolis. So you could see here, Google has it's dialed in the search results over here for that Minneapolis location. And you can see that sponsored section, which is the first thing that shows up. These Google local services ads are the first thing that show up. It's showing you that we've got two companies there. One is listed as a Google guarantee company with the green badge. And then you have that's Dean Bjorkstrand Landscaping. And then we have Symmetrical Design and Build Inc. underneath them. But if you notice, there's and you can do this search in your own area for anywhere, and you've probably seen it. You might be running these. There's only two companies that actually will show up at any one time. So it is limited space. And this is a pay per lead strategy method that Google has in place. So the benefits of the Google local services ads is you can be really selective on which services you're targeting, locations, and it's a pay per lead rather than paying for ad spend once someone clicks on the ad. So the other benefit of the pay per lead model with the Google local services ads is that if you have out of area leads or leads that aren't for your service, sales calls, fake leads like that, you can actually uh, speak to Google and dispute them through the dashboard, which is great. However, the downside to the local services ads is the space does get taken up pretty quickly. So having a Google Ads campaign combined with this is a good way to cover all your bases here. And in this case, between these two companies, there's a really clear difference between choosing one of these companies. If I was searching in the area in Minneapolis for a company here, I can see Dean Bjorkstrand he's got the guaranteed badge. They've got way more reviews. They've got 111 reviews, 41 years in business. Compared to Symmetrical Design, they've only got 2 reviews for 7 years in business. I'm likely not even going to contact Symmetrical. I would be going straight to the top of the business there. And that is the downside to these Google local services ads. If there's a clear difference between that side of things for the two showing companies, then you just might not get the lead come through and click or call for that. So it's just something to really be aware of. So if you are running those campaigns and you're not quite getting those results like that, then that could be the reason why. So something definitely to look into there. Okay. Now, a couple of things that actually can help optimize your Google local service campaigns is obviously just make sure you're getting set up, make sure you're submitting your business registration, your insurance documents to get that guaranteed badge. Then start to dial in the areas you're really targeting. Mind you, if you bring this and make it really narrow, it's going to affect the possibilities of getting those leads. So something just to keep into account there as well. But it's really important to show Google signals that you're using the platform here. So when you get the jobs booked, mark that on there. Make sure you're disputing those fake leads. Then the reviews, there's a section in the Google local services ads dashboard there where you can request reviews. So really important to make sure that you've got that in process that you're asking for people for reviews when you've done the work there as well. And then in terms of just a metric for yourself, if you're targeting at least getting 85% of those jobs booked, that's all good signals in Google's eyes. Okay, so that's a little bit about the Google Local Services ads. If you've got any questions about that or anything you want me to clarify, put that information there in the chat. What did you learn? What did you notice that you might not have seen before? Anything you'd like to share? All right. Next up, we're going to dive into the Google Ads side of things. So, really key areas to look at here is I do speak to companies who've used Google Ads in the past or may have dabbled in it, and it's a pretty common experience is that people have gone in to set up a Google Ads campaign. And if you've done this before and you've set up your ad account for the first time, Google is going to encourage you, firstly, to set up what's called a smart campaign. And while it sounds like it's the right thing to do and it's fairly easy to get set up in a basic level, smart campaigns are essentially you giving Google most of the reins as to how your campaign is going to perform. So within that, you give it a few broad keywords, but Google is not going to really pay super close attention to how variants of those keywords are going to show up. So when I touched on earlier about getting lawn care work when you don't offer that service, very easy to get that issue coming up when Google Ads are done using a smart campaign or just when they haven't been set up efficiently. So it's a quite complex dashboard when you're not doing it through smart campaigns. So the key thing there is if you're doing it as an expert, you set up ad groups, but you want to be doing it for your specific services. When you have a campaign there, you don't want just one ad group targeting all kinds of landscape services because you're going to get people looking for different work, driveways, patios, uh, fencing, full remodels, design work. And if you're offering all those services, you want to make sure that there's a really clear connection between what shows on the Google Ads, between what the customer sees when they get to your website, and between the services that you actually offer. So if you don't have all those things tied together, you lose conversion and people will be less inclined to actually contact your business or submit a project inquiry. And when that's not working, you're wasting ad spend and you're not going to get the return on investment to really make it work. So, along with that, you want to make sure things are broken up in that way in the ad text properly in the ad groups, and you want to make sure you're showcasing some of the benefits of your business. And sometimes, oftentimes, that includes an offer that you have or a promotion that goes into that. And then, lastly, there needs to be a strong call to action there as well, particularly on your landing page in such a visual industry. People are going to come to your landing page. You want them to be able to see your customer testimonials and the work you've done. And that goes a big, long way in this because people are checking that out. And that's the difference between them choosing to contact you or a competitor. Okay. And this slide here is just to iterate. If you're sending your Google ads directly to your homepage, that is never going to have the best conversion because the homepage is easy for people to get distracted. It is a more general entry point for your business. So your landing page is set up, it's specific for what people are searching for. And there are some really kind of unique things that can be done there to stand that out. And one of the things you can do is making sure that the search words people are using, the keywords, are actually there on the landing page. So they're connecting with what they searched, what they saw in the Google search results with the landing page that they end up on. Okay. So that's an overview of the Google ads as well. So take a moment there to think about that. If you've had those smart campaigns running, curious to get your thoughts on that or what you might have done in terms of Google ads in the past. If there's anything you'd like to share, put that detail there in the chat. Okay. And then the big question, can these actually drive a return on investment for your business? So I'm going to jump into some numbers over here for businesses based on data we're seeing for clients. So let's take this example. Let's say that you were running a campaign, monthly campaign, set up across these different Google local services ads, Google ads here, and you're getting 30 leads coming through this channel. Then let's say that you're converting 30%. I like to use that as a good general figure for the industry. You're converting essentially one out of three customers who inquire into becoming a client, into doing a job for them. So that's gonna equate to 9 book jobs, 30% of 30 there. And now an average ticket price, I'm using 12,500 here as well. But something really to consider with the average ticket prices here is once you've done a job for someone, you now have the ability of potential word of mouth referrals. Through that, you have potential for repeat business, or even depending on the services you offer, maybe some recurring work there as well. So I just like to be conservative with that number because you can get obviously projects which are a lot more higher revenue than that, down to businesses that do have those minimums around the jobs they're doing, which could be around 5-6 grand or something. So I like to just use that number there to start and go through. So those 9 jobs at that average price point turns into $112,000. Now, if you're trying to aim for a return on investment of 7 times, based on what we're doing for current clients, based on industry figures, it's very reasonable to be able to get that amount of leads for about a combined ad spend of 8,000, which would include management costs as well. So all in your marketing costs for a PPC strategy here could look around $8,000 for that type of return. And even if that goes up, at that base price point level, when it's done properly, when it's set up the right way, and there is a really solid system in place to convert those leads at 30% at the end, then the numbers don't lie. That's a 14 times return on investment here. And these are real numbers. These are the average job price is conservative for a reason to show you, what's possible with a strategy like this. Now, I want you to take a think about that just now. What are the numbers for your business? Do you know what your closing rate is? Do you know what your average project price is? Do you have those numbers on hand? And then do you have a marketing budget that is not generating that type of lead flow? Or should you be spending on your marketing that way? The Small Business Association recommends your marketing budget should be about 7 to 8% of your annual revenue. So, for $1 million business, that should be around 7 to 8 grand. And, even if you took out some of that for direct marketing, you could be looking at those numbers where you're bringing in perhaps 15 leads a month and you're generating about 55 grand in revenue there. So, just to run through the numbers there, take a moment just to run through them for your business, just using a simple calculator like that. Okay. Now, to get into a little bit more nitty gritty detail with setting up your Google ads, your your pay-per-click campaign so that you can help maximize that lead flow there as well. So first things first is you need to have a way to track your conversion. So in the back end of the Google Ads dashboard under goals, there's a conversion setting there as well. And you want to make sure that it's been set up for phone calls and forms that get submitted. I'm just going to set this up here really quick. Those are going to be the two main ways of actually getting a lead inquiry, the direct phone call or the project inquiry, which is likely going to be on your website asking people for the details there. So the campaign setup for the second point here is, like I said, breaking things up into those smaller ad groups, targeting those specific services is going to be the best way to do that. So outline the services that you're wanting to target with your pay-per-click campaign and use that as a guideline to break down the structure of your campaign. Then underneath that, the third point is you want to make sure that you've got the associated keywords researched for those specific services there as well. And then I put in there, don't forget to avoid those negative keywords. So biggest example is the lawn care and lawn maintenance side for this industry. If you don't offer that, you do not want to be showing up for ads there, and they should be put in as negative keywords. Next thing there is writing uh, text that actually entices people to click on you. So some of the really, really great ways to do this, some of the great call to actions here is licensed and insured. People they want to deal with companies when they're searching on Google. They're pretty high intent in the research phase. These are not crap bottom of the barrel leads coming through Angie or something who are just looking for the cheapest price. These types of people, higher intent, so they want to know who they're dealing with. Licensed and insured, review count. If you've got a certain amount of 5-star reviews on Google, write that in your ad. If you've got a promotion, a campaign, percentage off for new customers, a dollar amount off for new customers, put that in there. Years in business. These can all be added into your Google ad copy and to the ad extensions, which help stand out on the page. So the extensions is the next point there. Under assets in your Google Ads dashboard, there are a lot of extra things you can put in there. One of the big things I see not getting done is businesses not putting their actual logo onto the campaign, or maybe it's the marketing company doing it who's just left it, set it up for a while and just left it. But those things just add credibility to the ads as they show up. So make sure you go into the assets section and really fill in as much of those as possible. And then coming down to the bottom there is just the landing page. Like I said, make it a clear call to action. Phone call, submit your project inquiry details, show your testimonials, show your projects is a quick rundown of how you should be setting up your landing page. And if you want some examples of what's working there, let me know and I can send me a message and I'll send some things over. And lastly, the steps here is just to make sure the campaign is being monitored and you're testing different things, you're seeing what aspects of the ads are working, and then you can double down on what's working and eliminate the things that aren't, and obviously adjust your services if you're finding that you're wanting more of a certain type. And I can't emphasize enough how the conversion tracking is key, because you're never going to know what your return on investment is unless this is set up. And there are a few ways to do it using Google Analytics setup, using Google Tag Manager to connect these pieces with the ads with your website is really important there. I will say then down at the bottom, which is becoming even more and more important, is the privacy settings on websites in different parts of the world are changing, and it's getting harder to often know a customer's journey with these privacy settings put in place. So Google has this feature in the Google Ads dashboard called offline conversion tracking. So if you're using a CRM or even something as basic as a Google Sheet, you want to actually be sending that data back to Google when you get leads coming through. Uh, Even better if your CRM has uh, a method to note when you've gone out and done a bid for a customer, that can be sent in back to Google. When you've gotten the sale, that information can be sent back to Google as a custom conversion, an offline conversion. And what you're doing by sending Google that information is you're telling Google this was a great lead. This is the type of prospect lead that we want to get more of. And you start to filter that information back to Google to help optimize your campaigns as well. So now more than ever, and getting more important, is that method there. Okay. And then really four key areas to be wanting to look at with your Google Ads paid search campaigns is firstly, what is your total spend? If you've allocated your budget, you want to be checking firstly, are the ads set up enough to be spending your budget? If not, it might be a chance to open up some other avenues with that. Or perhaps your ad is a little bit too narrow in terms of the keywords, services you're targeting, and the locations you're targeting. The average cost per click is a good guide to just see how competitive it is in your area for those keywords. And you can research that in the Google Keyword Planner in preparation for campaigns too. Then the third thing there is really that average cost of getting a lead. So again, when that conversion tracking is in place properly, you're getting an accurate number there. And then lastly, really the key thing there is the return on investment, which is why I touched on the return on investment numbers at the beginning of this. Okay. And that true return on investment is just so key. If you can have a way to show that in your dashboard, we have a CRM system that's specifically set up for landscape and service businesses. And when a deal is closed, it allows the salespeople, allows the business to put in, what that amount closed for, feeds it back to the dashboard, and then you get the truest indication of your return on investment that, rather than using the, 12 and a half grand average that I just went through there as well. Okay. So we talked about the structure there as well. And I just wanted to take a moment just to take a look at some of the ads running around our area here and just to touch on some things. And you yourself, take a moment to look at this now. I want you to think about which of these ads stands out, what parts of the ads stand out, and who would you contact out of these five businesses here? Take a moment to have a look through that. So, just a couple of quick notes that I'm seeing here is I can see two of the three businesses actually have their logos showing, which could be kind of lazy marketing on the back end, not doing that. But there is one of these ads which really sticks out to me, and it's in part of the key call to action there, and it's the NIP group. I don't know if anyone else noticed that there, but the 30 plus years industry. That doesn't even quite make sense, but it still caught my attention. It was one of the first things I saw when I pulled that up. And it just goes to show those types of social proof really do help on these ads as well. In terms of offers, I'm not really seeing too much. The TM landscaping is interesting because it says create an account. Not quite sure what they're wanting to do there as well. But we can see, Cal Smart does have a little bit of a breakdown of their services there. But do a search in your area and take a look at what you're seeing there too. And you'll see some examples, good and bad. Okay, now the landing page, we talked about that. And here are just some quick things to take a look at. If you're paying someone to run your ads right now, are these things set up? Or if you're doing it yourself, you have someone in house, take a look at and see which of these steps might be in place. a lot of what I've talked about here as well. First one there, do you know what your management fee is? Because some businesses just do an all-inclusive amount and they don't tell you which component is management, which is Google ad spends. I think that's important, and we're very transparent about that. Call tracking, so yeah, talked about that. Do you know which are coming from the Google ads? Is there a separation between that and the local organic SEO calls or form submissions you're getting? Do you have a dashboard? Can you see what the average cost per lead is? You have access to that information. Landing pages. Are you able to take a look at the landing pages? Are you updating the landing pages? If you're getting new reviews coming through, new projects done, you want to make sure your landing pages are getting updated to show that the more recent the reviews are showing, the more trust people have for that. Then the ads being tested and optimized, the extensions set up. Again, go to that assets section. You'll be able to see all that information. And then, can you track your return on investment? Okay. So we practice what we preach. And these are some of the things we're doing to make sure that all of that is in place. Really, the key one there is we have our system called JBL Connect system is set up for clients on our top level program. And that allows them to see that true level optimization in seeing what what came through as sales and what sale amount was it, which means you can then look back and see what the true return on investment is there, which is really the key part here, that return on investment. So I'm not going to spend too much time on that, but essentially the things we just talked about that should be happening on our JBL Connect system allows that to be put in place to determine that properly. Okay. Last one there is is your ad spend transparent with the management cost? So that was a bit of a deep dive going through there, but take some time now just to think about that. If it's a campaign that's in place, maybe you've got your Google ad campaign open here during this webinar. Run through and just take a look at a couple of those things. Quick one is take a look at those assets. Google Assets is over on the left hand side. You can see what's been set up. Okay. And then we get into the last section here, which is all to do with retargeting and automation. So it can be put down to this. So if you've ever searched for something online or browsed for something on social media channels, and then you start to notice the hours, the days leading afterwards, you're seeing that business or those products showing up, following you around the internet, that's due to retargeting. And it can be done the same for people who visited your website here as well or engaged with your content. And it allows you to be kept top of mind. And this really works once you've got a good amount of data feed into the system here. But if you've been running ads or your website's been up for a while, you can start to use that information to do some specific types of retargeting ads on that. And then to just add to that is the automation component is making sure that, when that initial lead comes through, the response time to get that close rate as high as possible. Things like this leads, if they're not followed up within 15 minutes, they're going to go cold. So, making sure you've got a system in place that as soon as someone submits an inquiry, you get a notification on your phone or a text message so that someone, yourself or someone on your team, can contact that person and follow up. And 5 to 7 times can often be the follow up time frame or frequency to actually get that booking in, you know, after having done the quote and the bid as well. So a lot of people today, text message is a really preferred option there as well. So at every opportunity, make sure you're doing that and keeping people up to date, keeping them top of mind, following up with the prospects is really key. And there's that rundown I talked about with the retargeting and automation. which is a more advanced paid search strategy, but certainly worthwhile once you have those other foundational elements in place. And here's just some examples of what they could look like. So the first one there, beautify your lawn. There's a free landscape audit offer there. There's a 25, 20, $250 off servicing side. And then the one on the right, you can see the special offer is 15% off. So those are some of the types of remarketing copy you can use, but you can also use that throughout your normal campaigns too. Okay. So if you are looking for some help with that, particularly with the automations, like I said, that JBL Connect system is something we have set up specifically for our clients. It will tie in all of your advertising channels, social media, Google business profile, website, and that follow up is put into place for you to then have that prospect nurtured to get those 5 to 7 touch points. So that's something that can be really key, really helpful there. Okay. And I will say, if this is something that you're looking for help with, just type that in the comments. But also, if you would like us to do a free online marketing plan review, we'll take some time to actually run through and see what you have in place now. You just want a second set of eyes on things, we're happy to do that and go through it. If you're looking for a little bit of information about how to set up that automation specific to your company, we can have that conversation as well and show you how that works on the back end and the benefits there as well. So that's our offer there. You can just go to our website backslash schedule there as well, or reach out on social media. And I can just see Abby's had to run here. Thank you, Abby, for joining us. So that's the rundown there. So Raphael, I can see you've just joined. We're actually at the end of the call here, but there will be a replay put up here as well. But if you have any questions, you want anything for us to talk about in terms of paid marketing strategies or helping you grow, let me know, and we'll be happy to have that conversation with you. Fantastic, guys. Have a good rest of your day. We'll talk to you soon.